Before we extend our simple example, there are a couple of important concepts that I'd like to explain. The first of those is components. Here you can see a graph which has got several components already in it. On the right hand side we've got our component toolbar, and we can drag and drop any of these components into the graph, and you can see here how we've constructed a graph of quite some complexity. So let's take a look at some of these readers. So Universal Data Reader reads from flat files, and you can see we've got one being read here, obviously a delimited file, another one here, a fixed length file. We've got a Excel spreadsheet reader, and the obvious titles here describe what they do. If we want to find out a little bit more, we can drag our reader, in this case, in, double click on it, and you can see in the specification field a textual explanation. So if I click on the ... button, we can read the full text. So that allows us to dig a little deeper. So those are readers. Then we've got writers for writing data to various different data sources. The trash is a useful one we're going to look at the moment for debugging, and these titles make it pretty obvious what they do. Now, transformers are very important, and this is where it's worth you spending a little bit of time at some point to understand what each of these do. Clover have basically put the most commonly used components towards the top of the list, and these are basically responsible for transforming data, as they suggest. So reformat, for instance, maps one data structure to another, filtering, sorting, copying. There are all sorts of different options here. The joiners join data coming together. So here you can see a joiner, which is joining something coming out of here and something coming out of this spreadsheet, joins them together before passing them down the next edge, as they're called, into the final component that writes some XML out here. So it's really important to understand particularly what the transformers and the joiners do, because if you don't understand each of these, what you'll end up trying to do is to knock a square peg into a round hole, because some of these things do fairly similar transformations to others, but not quite the same. So spend a little bit of time on the wiki, the Clover wiki, understanding what they do. The other thing I'd like to explain is the concept of metadata. If we come over here to the left-hand side, you'll see every Clover project has these objects here, and metadata is essentially a data description format. So for instance, let's just look at something straight away. Let's look at customers with amount ID. Double click on that, and here you can see the metadata format. So what it is, it's a list of fields that, in this case, data being read is put into before being passed along one of these edges. So if we were going to translate data from one format to another, we'd have two different metadata formats, and then we'd remap using the reformat transformer. So our next examples are actually going to use the reformat component as well as the metadata. So let's get on now and actually extend our simple example.